What up, Tube? So, yeah, today we're at my house. I'm gonna do something a little different. We had a little change of environment at the garage, and the other day I decided to let me spin around here, bring the Apache home. So right now the 59 is on the trailer. She's not done, but we brought her to the house so we could free up some space and work on some other stuff. So I'm gonna head over there and show you what we got going on, and try and get a little bit of work done today. So it's a beautiful day here in Oregon, as always. Oregon seems to either rain or be sunny. Today it's sunny, so I'm gonna get out of here, get down to the shop, we'll do work. Stay tuned. So yeah, the garage is a little different now. We got the 59 Apache out of there. Made some room, rearranged a bit. Pulled my pre-war in, and that's what we're gonna be working on here shortly. So I'll show you what I got going on. George's truck is almost done. Let me flip this camera around. The garage is totally different. I moved those racks to the back, built a little station, you know, tools. Got way more room in here now. But yeah, so I started mocking this thing up. Took that cab, it's 32 Ford in bed, dropped it on this 32 Chevy or 32 Ford chassis I had already. I've been building and had this 327 sitting in the garage here with a dual high rise. It's gonna be pretty bitchin'. So today we're gonna work on that. I'm gonna get George's truck pushed out here so I can have some more room, set up the camera. Nothing is bolted on this. This is literally all just sitting there. I just wanted to kind of mock up and see what I had. So yeah. Time to get a pre-war going. Not much that I have to do to this to get it going. I'm gonna keep it a high boy. I'm not gonna do any chopper channel or any of that stuff just yet. I just want an old school traditional hot rod. And that screams old school traditional to me, so. I originally bought this chassis with the fiberglass roadster body. Most of the modification to it was already done. Somebody boxed it in. Someone did a suicide front end, which I redid. It was not super amazing the way it was done. It was welded pretty poorly, and I decided that if you're gonna stretch and do a suicide front end, you might as well do it longer. And I lowered the car 2 more inches than it was lowered in the front, and I added these longer gussets. So now it's got 4 gussets from the top. There's a couple from the bottom as well. It's super sturdy and safe. But yeah, during COVID I did that when we were locked down. Today what I want to do, obviously I need to buy a bunch of hardware. This shackle broke while we were moving it. Got zip ties holding shit together for now. All the hardware is all old, needs replaced. It's an early Ford truck, trailing arms. I'm gonna get a new buggy spring, replace all the hardware, redo this whole front cross member. We'll see what happens with this whole setup. So, but for now today, what I want to do is I want to pull this motor out and made it to spinny camera. Sorry, that's 700 R4 that's sitting over there. Just for mock up, drop it back in and mock some stuff up. Once I get the transmission in there, I'll start sticking out some floors. We're gonna put a under the floor brake system in that's sitting over here. So once I get all that in, line it up with my drive line, I can start making some floors, and that's basically what I want to do today. I know this is where I want the cab to sit. It sits really nice here. The bed sits pretty nice too. It needs to be widened a few inches, but you know, it's a work in progress. There's a parallel 4-link in the back with a pan hard bar and some air shocks. We're gonna redo this whole rear suspension. I'll probably keep that parallel 4-link. We're gonna add either some coilovers or just some coil springs to the back, and you know, go from there. This cross member is kind of janky. Everything's not really welded and just tacked in. You know, typical. I bought a project that someone started and never finished. So, but yeah, today I'm gonna pull this motor, get a transmission in there, just sit it where it needs to sit, and start fabbing things up. Yesterday, when I put that motor in the truck, I was solely looking for cab position and how much I had to trim the firewall. So, being that it's a high boy, there's not much trimming to do. But basically, I need to just kind of come up and into that a little bit, get rid of that stock gas pedal, and we'll cut that out, mount those two together, and get them back in. Motor's in, transmission is temporarily connected. Just threw a couple bolts, there's no torque converter or anything. Basically what I need to figure out here is obviously a transmission mount. Right now the jack's holding it up, and then just placement of stuff. Like I said, there wasn't much trimming around the firewall to get that to fit. I do have a floor mount brakes booster pedals assembly that goes there. So we're gonna get that in over there, and then transmission cross member. But now that I have this in here, I can measure, get this transmission in the middle in between two frame rails so that it lines up with that Ford 9-inch. And then just start sticking some stuff in. That way I know where I can put my floor mounts. I'm gonna take some 1x and kind of stick up and over and up and over and tie into the firewall. That way I can build a floor. But I think today we're gonna worry about getting the brake booster mounted in there. I'm gonna make a skeleton for the floor. The stock floor sat down in this lip, and all this steel is still good, which is amazing for the age of the cab. And it goes all the way up the firewall and across, so I'm a use what you got guy. So what I'm gonna do is build something that goes from here and then over. That way I have and up. That way I have a pan that bolts down here, a pan that bolts down there, and then I'll do a transmission tunnel in the middle. I dug through the scrap. I didn't find any angle. I was hoping to have some angle iron, but I do have this square tube. So I'm just gonna cut that in half. That'll make the 2 long square pieces I got. I got another piece to make a couple smaller pieces. But then, you know, half of the square tube is 2 pieces of angle. We'll stick that into place, tack it in there. That'll give me a nice place to put sheet metal down. Plenty of width for screws. And I want the floor to be able to just unscrew and pop out, because you'll have to get underneath the driver's side every now and then to check your brake fluid, add brake fluid, things like that. And you know, it's just easier. Everything just zips out. This is definitely more of a, I don't want to say a rat rod project, but a natural hot rod. I'm not going to restore any of the paint or anything. For now, I'm just going to put it back together. There we go. We got 1 piece of square. Now we have 2 pieces of angle. One of these sides will get cut down short. One of the other sides will stay long. That way they fit right in there. But that'll give me a good, and this is inch, about an inch, 3/4 of an inch or so for that new floor to lay on. Nice channel, and then we'll cut this down so that it fits in the truck perfect. So I took a piece of this and I cut it at 7.5, and then I opened it up a little bit. That way I have a more of a drastic angle. Let me show you why. So that piece is gonna be, I just tack screwed a piece of scrap sheet metal in there so I could see where my floor comes down at an angle. And then I got this piece. Like I said, I opened that angle up. So now that piece is the same angle as that firewall going up. We'll tack that in. It'll leave room for the fittings for my transmission. And then we'll run a piece back this way of angle and tie it in there. And then I got myself a little frame. I got that piece just screwed into place. The second piece of angle, I cut it from nothing up. That way I have a lip where the transmission tunnel starts to go up to. So now I have somewhere to tack my floor into on the bottom. And then I'm gonna build this loop tunnel, and I'll have somewhere to tack, weld, boop, 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 into the top. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. It all needs to be cleaned up. I'm gonna cut these and butt weld them. So I'll mark this, take this whole piece out, butt weld it together so it's flat, and then we'll bring it back in and I'll zip that and we'll butt weld that so it's flat, so that the sheet that lays on top of it sits nice and flat down in there. But yeah, that gives me plenty of room for fittings on the transmission from underneath. Plenty of leg room for whoever's sitting on the passenger side. But yeah, rinse and repeat. We'll do it for the other side as well, which is easier because I have nothing to get around on the transmission when it comes to fittings. And the linkage, or where the linkage hooks up for the shifter, is way down. That welded in. The bottom piece. That'll be my first floor pan. That nice little trapezoid-ish kind of figure. I'm gonna take this piece off quick and run a flat piece of stock from there to there so that it's nice and sturdy. And when you're sitting there, you got your foot on it, you're not feeling the flex of the floor or relying on the strength of whatever pan I put in there to hold it, you know. Just one little piece in there. We'll tack it, and then I'll start making templates, and we'll get a piece of sheet metal. Get that support in, cut a little cardboard there so that I can make a template for my first pan. So I'll do that in one piece, and then the firewall will be one piece that goes over top the transmission, and on the other side one piece, and then one piece for the floor over there. And these floor pieces, like I said, I want to make them removable. That way if you need to get under there, you can just zip a couple screws up, you're good to go. So the driver's side I made and put together on the table here, so you can kind of see that structure a little bit better. But that lip transmission's here over to the inside, and then we'll weld that up. But yeah, I'm gonna tack weld this together and then get it in the driver's side there. We got our structure in, cut some cardboard templates out. Now I can cut these two pieces of floor. I cut this template out here that goes in this big open area. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this yet. Probably just a big piece and then bead roll. I might bead roll in there. Who knows? Either way, first I'm going to get the pieces cut out. But I took some cardboard, cut out what I want to cut. Now I'll transfer that to some sheet metal, and I'll get the rest of the floor cut out. I took my cardboard transfers that I made, or cardboard templates that I made, and I transferred to the sheet metal. Now I'm gonna cut them out, and then we'll set up the bead. Panels are cut. They're just laying in there. I gotta trim a little bit. This one's a little long there, and that one's a little long here and here. So yeah, a little trimming. This one actually goes in from up underneath and gets welded in, and then, like I said, I want to be able to remove these two to get underneath the car for anything, especially that one with the master cylinder will be right under there, so I don't want to have to not be able to service brakes. But yeah, I'm gonna get those two, some type of pattern drawn on them now, trim them up, bead roll them. I'll probably put just an indent in either side, and then probably two indents in this one. My bead roller, actually, I'll have to cut this one in half because my bead roller is not real deep, so I'll have to do this one in two pieces, and we'll stick something through the middle there. But yeah, making progress. So I kind of traced out this little pattern here. I'm going to take my straight edge, use this cap for corners, just right around to make my round edge, and then I'm just going to put an indentation in the pan. Keep it simple, make it strong. there you go. They are not perfect by any means, but they are bead rolled. I have a small bead roller, manually operated, and doing it by myself sometimes is a pain in the ass. But loosen them up on the English wheel first and then roll them. That makes it so the panel doesn't warp too much. There is a little bit of warpage, obviously, and I will get that out. So getting these things straight is a little tricky sometimes, depending on how much you worked it with the bead roller. Like I said, I pre-stretched them so they didn't get much of a curve to them. But I learned this cool little trick with my brake here is I'll stick it in up to the bead roll and then just pull up on the handle enough to kind of straighten it out. You don't want to go too far. You don't want to put a 45 or bend in it, but just a little bit of pressure on it and it'll straighten it up for you. Some of it, you just give it a little tweak by hand. There you can see that gives it a nice straight profile, straight enough that now it'll lay flat in the car. Need a little bit more on this one. There we go. Panels are done. All right, so there they are. I got them just self-tapped in there for now until we get permanent fasteners. But they fit good. They're nice and strong, flat. There's no oil canning in them, just a solid floor. And that's what you want. There's nothing worse than getting in a car and feeling an oil can in the floor. And yeah, it's just annoying when you're driving. So yeah, there's those front two pans. This one I'm gonna wait until I have some friends over to help with the bead roll, because I think I am gonna roll that in just one big giant indentation under the seat. Not 100% on that yet, but it's a good start, man. Good start. Get the motor and trans in, lined up. The cab is where it needs to be. It's centered, and now it's square. It was a little off kilter until I put that floor structure in. So I'm stoked. That's gonna be it for this episode of Handmade Hooligan. Stoked on this so far. Make sure, if you don't already, comment, like, subscribe, follow along, man. It's really fun doing these builds and just cutting stuff up with friends. So remember, you can do this too at home. Buy some stuff, cut it up. Don't be afraid. If you screw it up, just weld it back together, man. Until next time, have a good night, everybody.